My grandparents' graves are here, and I want to have some means of connection with them. I don't want to just go away.
Welcome to the Marshall Islands. I've come here because this country is disappearing. As the sea level continues to rise, the threat of ocean water inundating this land increases every single day. The Marshall Islands are a collection of islands and atolls in the Central Pacific Ocean. Just over 53,000 people live here. So this is your house?
Yes, that's my house.
So this is where you've lived your whole life?
Yeah. My maternal grandparents are right there. But I grew up with my grandparents. I didn't grow up with my parents.
Okay.
Yeah. They moved because of better opportunities for my younger siblings. These are my grandparents' graves. And this is where I would sit at the very edge of this reef, and that's where I would wait for my merman.
Your merman? What?
So when I come back, they're like, "Oh, Cecilia, have you found your merman?" I'm like, "No, he didn't come today."
So where are we sitting right now? What is this?
This is the seawall that was built a year or 2 years ago. The water basically rushes all the way. Sometimes it even goes all the way to the main road. It's very scary. You realize even more how tiny our island is. I mean, I know science says that like these islands will disappear by this time, but still, this is our home, and if we lose it, then what else are we gonna have?
In one recent study, environmental scientists found that the Marshall Islands could be uninhabitable by the year 2030.
My name is Kathy Chedunul. I write poetry, I do poem videos, and I try to use my poetry and spoken word performances to raise awareness on different issues.
Kathy has traveled the world to raise awareness about the impact of climate change on the sea level rise. Her mother has been the president of the Marshall Islands since 2016.
The Marshall Islands is only 2 meters above sea level. We're completely vulnerable to the rising sea level. The issue of climate change is that pretty soon this island will become unlivable.
You see a lot of headlines saying the Marshall Islands are sinking. This is the last generation of the Marshall Islands.
Yeah, oh, right, okay. That I can definitely say is really frustrating to read, for sure. We're nothing without our islands. We don't want to move. We shouldn't have to move. So a lot of what our government's position has been, and my own position, my poetry, is just constantly, let's keep fighting and let's not give up just yet.
The Marshall Islands became a trust territory of the United States after World War II. The U.S. also conducted nuclear testing on the atolls here between 1946 and 1958.
They tested over 60 nuclear weapons in the Marshall Islands. It was a level of complete trauma and destruction that has a lasting impact to today.
In 1983, the U.S. and the Marshall Islands signed a Compact of Free Association, which allows Marshallese residents to travel, work, and live in the U.S. The compact offers financial support through 2023, and a trust fund was created to support the country long-term. Marshallese people can travel freely to and from the U.S. Many of them have decided to move there, some permanently. And it just so happens that there is one town in America that has seen the highest number of Marshallese immigrants. That place is Springdale, Arkansas. So right now I'm heading inside the Blue Pacific Mart, which is one of the Marshallese owned stores here in Springdale. Is this place kind of where you can go to get some of the food that you would get on the Marshall Islands? So what do you miss about living on the Marshall Islands?
Yeah, I miss my people. I miss the fresh water, fresh air.
Now there's so many Marshallese people who move here to Springdale that there's actually a consulate's office here in town. And right now I'm going to meet with the Consul General Eldon Alec, who helps people adjust to their new life. How's it going?
Please come on in.
Nice to meet you.
Sometimes, I feel like I'm the voice of the Marshallese here. We are naturally shy people. We don't talk. Like they'd go to get a driver's license and they would just turn them our way. And they come to me and say, "Hey, can you call and see why I'm being rejected?" And I do all of that, a lot of that.
Why have so many Marshallese citizens moved to Springdale?
Honestly, I think we moved to Springdale because there's a lot of jobs here. And jobs here doesn't require a lot of schooling. You don't really need to train. You just come here and you work right away. There are estimated 15,000 Marshallese that live in Springdale.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And there's probably more because I see new people coming here every week.
Jack Niedenthal has been living on the Marshall Islands since 1981. He's now the country's Secretary of Health and Human Services.
We've seen huge changes here because of climate change. Weather patterns have changed. We get different kinds of storms now. Whoa, come on, you guys. Every little kid on the island knows me. And they all know this cars. Half the country's population is under the age of 15 years. So we're going to train as many young people as we can in first aid and teach them a little bit about emergency response issues. We're working really hard to try to make sure people are ready when something happens. And hopefully it never does, but we want them to be ready in case it does.
So right now we're heading to go meet a man named Alison Kalin. He serves on the government's nuclear commission. He's also dedicated his life to building canoes.
None of these things were built by professionals. They were all built by as part of the training program. This is our workshop, and they do a lot of the small stuff.
Why is it important to build canoes here in the Marshall Islands?
Well, Marshallese people are ocean people. It is a 2,000 years old sustainable livelihood tool.
What do you think you've given to the hundreds of young people that you've taught?
Food on the table. No matter what you do in this world, it's always food on the table. It doesn't use fossil fuel. It's good for our country. The same water that gives us resources is the same water today that is coming closer and closer to our houses. If we have to move, we will be countryless. Now, if I move, drag me on my canoes out of this country.
Nobody's saying right now, you gotta plan to move, that's it. Until I hear somebody definitively say that, or until we as a collective decide, okay, we're gonna have to do that, we're gonna keep fighting.
This is all about not giving up. You know, we call this Jolet Jananis in Marshallese. It's like, it's your gift from God.
We are today living in a global community, and all of these problems are all global community problems. We have to take care of our Mother Nature as if she was our own.